G'day, it's Joel Rasmussen for Southern Cross Combat, and I'm here at Resilience Training Centre. And ahead of his fight at Demolition, I'm talking to Mr. Eoin Coughlan. Owen, thank you very much for the time. Thank you for coming in. How has the day been so far?
Yeah, no problem. Day's been alright, pretty usual Monday. Just a bit of training this morning and went home for a bit of a rest and now back in for some more this afternoon.
It is officially fight week. It is week of the fight. How does it feel? How is it to be back at fight week? Similar but different because it's the pro debut.
Fight week's always usually the same. I still got to go to work for the rest of the week, so nothing special this time. Just watch what I'm eating, make sure I'm doing all the right things, don't get injured late on, and head into Saturday and see how we go.
How far out from the fight will you go? I'm not coming into work. I have to focus on the fight.
So I'm an electrician. I work in the industrial sector, so I'm kind of needed up until Thursday afternoon, and then Friday I've obviously got to take off and then make weight. So I'll be working Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday this week. Yeah.
I don't envy that. As I've mentioned at the top, and there it's the pro debut. I'm very interested when someone makes the jump to pro. Why? Why have we made the jump to the pro now? What was it about? How are you feeling? Why now?
So this wasn't actually the plan. The plan was to defend my amateur belt at Demolition on Saturday, but unfortunately my opponent pulled out probably 6 or 7 weeks ago, and the promotion tried to find me a replacement, and they couldn't. So it was kind of on again, off again, on again, yes, no, and then we've ended up with a pro fight on Saturday night. So that's how it went.
How does that happen? How does someone approach you? How does I don't know if it's the coach or the promotion come to you and say, "We couldn't get you an amateur title defense. How about a professional debut?"
I mean, at the end of the day, it's a fight, isn't it? I don't think anything really changes. Look, if you want to fight, you want to fight. That's what my mindset's always been like. And look, pro, amateur, at the end of the day, you're getting put in the cage with someone else, and someone's going to win. And different rule set, slightly different rule set. It's just a little adjustment that I need to make. So,
if the amateur fight was still going ahead, did you have a timeline in your head for going pro? Did you ever want to fight pro?
there's never been really any timeline. Look, I have a career outside of fighting, obviously. I've fought as an amateur in judo for 15 years. And this is kind of my competitive outlet. So there was never really any plan moving forward. It was just take it one fight at a time and see how we go. So now we're gonna see how we go.
That's so wild to me. The idea of just being like, and now I'm a pro fighter almost by accident, by happenstance. I've now turned into a professional fighter. What was everyone's reaction, the family's reaction, the team's reaction when this pro opportunity came up?
So speaking with my coaches, obviously they know where I'm at, and if they're comfortable with me taking a pro fight, then I'm comfortable taking a pro fight. The family, they're going to come watch on Saturday night. They've got all the confidence in the world. Look, I know how experienced I am as a martial artist, so I don't think anything's really going to faze me too much.
Talking about that martial arts, as I mentioned at the top, we're here at Resilience. I thank you very much for having me and welcoming me into the gym. First off, I think it's a staple of combat sports in Australia, in Melbourne, but specifically martial arts. Legendary judo coming out of here. You're now in that kind of MMA game. What is it like to train at Resilience?
I think Resilience is one of the best places to train at, if not in Australia, but definitely in Melbourne. The people that I'm surrounded with, the judo guys, the high-level elite judo players, we've had some of the best MMA fighters in the country, some of the best talent coming through the country come through this gym, and they're not here anymore, some of them, but I've trained with them all, and it's been a really good environment to train in since we opened up in 2013. So absolutely one of the best gyms around.
With your approach to MMA, obviously it's not MMA is not a judo match. It's mixed martial arts. how do you train and the mental kind of preparation of going into an MMA fight compared to your extensive judo experience? Are you going into a fight like, how quickly can I turn this into a grappling match?
I think I know where my strengths lie, and I think my opponents always know where my strengths lie. So essentially, yes. The goal is to get that person on the ground and do what I want with them, and that is the end goal, is to make it a grappling match and make it messy. So I'm not a kickboxer.
I like the make it messy. I'm not out here to do anything pretty, even though I think judo's very pretty. I think some of those throws are absolutely beautiful, how it all strings together. But how did you find the MMA once you started getting in there? It is, a lot of coaches have said to me, a lot of people just say, like, it's an ugly sport. It's not pretty. It's grinding. It's gross. When you got in there and when you were first kind of coming to MMA, how was it compared to the judo?
It's a lot different. It's different in the sense that, there's, I don't want to say more danger, but there is definitely more danger. In a judo match, probably the worst thing that's going to happen is you might dislocate your elbow at worst. MMA, there's definitely a higher risk. When I started dabbling with cross training in 2016 after the Olympics, and like I said, I've trained with some of the best guys in the country, and I've never felt like I was sort of out of my depth. But yeah, it certainly is. It certainly is a lot different to judo. Look, there's no gi to hold onto. The grappling exchanges very slippery. So you got to adapt what you know to suit the situation.
Why did you start cross training?
So I took a bit of a break from judo when I finished the Olympics in 2016, and Daniel had the guys coming down, and they were training sparring on a Friday night, and I thought, I'll help the guys out, get a bit of a grappling partner in, and I wasn't very good at striking. I'm still not the best striker in the world, but yeah, I just did it for something else to do, so something new. I've been doing judo for so long, and it was kind of getting a little bit stale for me. So just trying something different and trying to learn something new, and yeah, that's essentially why I started cross training.
Was it something that once you picked it up, once you started doing it and you jumped in there, did you fall in love with it? How did it compare to when you kind of first began judo?
So I always looked forward to sparring on a Friday night. That was always one of the best days of the week. To be honest, I can't really remember feelings emotionally when I was first starting judo. I started judo very early on in life. I was probably 5 or 6 years old, and then I played a lot of sports when I was young. So once I chose judo as my main sport, the excitement levels for the nationals, and then as I progressed through the nationals to the national team and started competing overseas, the excitement level for trips similar to that. But I think sparring day from 2016 onwards was always a really fun time for me. Just being able to let loose and do something different.
You talked about coming to MMA after you'd made it to the Olympics. No, like, something I love about the Olympics is that phrase. It's like, that's forever. People can be a former champion. People can be former MMA fighter, former this. You're Olympian forever. But you go to that, you become an Olympian, cemented your name in history, and as you said, it was kind of beginning to get maybe a little bit stale. I feel like if you had stepped away from professional competition as an Olympian, that's good enough for most people. What is that kind of drive to compete, and what does kind of motivate you and keep you going?
So I think for me, if I don't have something to work towards, I get very bored very quickly. So I find if there's long gaps between competition, I'm not motivated. And I think it's a motivating factor is having something coming up and something to compete in and try and excel at is something that I really enjoy.
And I was very fortunate enough to speak with Aoife Coughlan ahead of her Olympic, not debut, second Olympics. for her. She just competed in Paris. Uh, we talked about yourself. We talked about your younger sister as well. You are coming from an Olympic family, it seems. What is that like? So few people. So few people go to the Olympics, but there are two, and hopefully with three, uh, coming from one family. What is that like?
I'd like to hope mum and dad are proud of us, but for me, it's something I did. It's not who I am. It's a cool part of my life. I worked very hard for a very long time to achieve it. And when I got there, I didn't achieve the result that I wanted to achieve, and that's always kind of sitting there in the back of your mind. So I guess that's probably something that drives me to do something else. But no, I'm very proud of my family. We're all some of the hardest workers, always some of the hardest workers in the room, and that's something I think that our family really has is a work ethic. And the two girls, look, I hope that Maeve gets to where she wants to be, and Aoife is just amazing.
You mentioned that word there, hard work. And when people can, like, when I say there's an Olympic family and there's almost this like dynasty of it, people can make, oh, well, that's something to do with that family. It's something to do with that. Oh, it's in the blood or whatever. As someone who has been to that world stage, who has climbed that mountain, what is it? Is it genetics or is it just hard work?
I think it's just a lot of hard work. I think you can be a genetically gifted athlete and then not achieve anything. I think if you're the hardest worker in any room, you're more than likely going to achieve what you want to achieve. And that's how I've always been with everything. Just work hard and you'll get to where you want to be.
What type of confidence does that, being at that world stage? I know you said it doesn't define who you are. That's not who you are at a core level, but still, that has to bring a certain level of confidence when you do go into these MMA fights to know I've competed at the highest level against people at the highest stage. What kind of confidence does it bring in?
It does. There is a level of confidence it gives me. Look, I've trained with some of the best judo players in the world. Like I said, I've trained with some of the best Australian MMA fighters. I know what my skill set is, and it's just being able to implement that skill set in a certain situation. That's where I need to be. I need to be implementing what I know I can do, where I need to implement it.
Talking about the upcoming fight, you are fighting Loni Filimohala. As we touched on at the very top of the interview, this is almost pro debut for you out of circumstance. Did you know anything about him prior to this? How did his name come to you? What did you think of him once you first heard that you were going to make your debut against him?
So I didn't know much about him. When we had the amateur fight fall through, we had another pro fight fall through, and then Cal actually came to me and he said, "Look, there's a few guys fighting on beatdown that might be up for a quick turnaround. We just got to wait until that's over and we'll see what happens." And so sort of waited, and Lonnie's name came up, and I thank him for taking the fight. Yeah, he's experienced. He's had 15 amateur fights. He's made his pro debut already. He's obviously going to be a tough opponent, and I'm excited to test myself on Saturday.
Now that you have had time to familiarise yourself with him, you've maybe looked at some footage. What do you make of Lonnie?
I think he's going to hit hard, and as long as I can't get hit, as long as I don't get hit too hard, I think we'll see what happens. I think it's going to be an interesting fight. I think he's got decent grappling. Looks like he has good striking. Just got to keep my head out of danger and implement my game plan.
You talked about MMA being something for you that fulfills the competitive side. You're a man with a career. You're a man who has a life outside of the gym. Now you are turning pro. What are your goals as a professional mixed martial artist?
Like I said before, I think we just take it one fight at a time. I don't think there's any framework. There's no time frame that I want to do anything. I've got that full-time job. I've done all I wanted to do in judo, and we'll just go one at a time, and we'll see where we end up.
I haven't spoken to Lonnie, so I haven't asked him a question about necessarily what his goals are. But if he's a guy who is got this date in mind or this or that, you know what I mean? If he's a guy who's really kind of, he wants this to be his full-time career, and that, can that be, as someone who does have a life outside of the MMA, can that be intimidating when you're going up against a guy who might be betting his whole life on winning this fight?
Yeah, I mean, trying to juggle work and training and home life and like looking after my two dogs, and you know, it's definitely difficult. And guys that are putting everything in that basket, they've obviously got more time on their hands to train, to sharpen their skills and things like that. But you know, as long as when I'm here, I'm working as hard as I possibly can. And when I'm booked to fight, I'm working as hard as I possibly can. I think my skill set can match most people.
Very few people fight at all. Very few people fight professionally. Very few people are Olympians. You're a man who is about to achieve the three of fighting MMA, being an Olympian, and turning pro. How do the feelings compare of you're about to make your pro debut compared to like making the Olympics?
Look, I think making the Olympics is always going to be the pinnacle of, you know, my achievements, regardless of what happens now. I had the best moment of my life and the worst moment of my life 3 minutes apart on the same day. So I don't think anything's ever going to really top that.
And you mentioned just before the two dogs. How are the dogs?
They're all right. Behaving, kind of, you know.
What dogs do you have?
I've got a big mutt and I've got a little red heeler.
If you said they're kind of behaving, you're here. Where are they? Is someone looking? Does someone have to keep an eye on them, or are they going to tear the house apart?
Nah, so they live inside, outside. They pretty much own the house. So good guard dogs. For anyone watching that, you know, wants to go investigate. They're they sort of own the house. They roam inside, they roam outside, they do whatever they want, and as long as they get a walk every day, they're pretty happy.
Owen, I thank you so much for the time. Between now and fight day, what does kind of the rest of the week look like for you?
Yeah, so I've got a confined space course tomorrow at work, so that'll be great fun. Yeah, that'll be awesome. And then, just a normal day, Wednesday, Thursday. Try and get a bit of training in the afternoon, evening, and then make weight Friday and turn up ready to fight on Saturday.
Do you think the confined space course will be easier coming from the grappling background of maybe you don't feel as claustrophobic?
I think that demolition cage is a bit of a confined space, so we'll see if we can learn the access and egress points of the demolition cage on Saturday.
What?
Access and egress, entry, exit. You know.
Why didn't we say entry and exit? What language is that?
Look, it's the industrial terms. You know, gotta throw them out there. Yeah.
That's the language of the working man, bro. You can tell I've never done a hard day's work in my life.
You're working hard today.
No, it's easy. It's flowing. I thank you so much for the time. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to speak to you. Best of luck in the fight. Thank you so much.